Hey Tim, I just wanted to let you know.
I'm busy, twin number 3.
I don't know if you noticed, but
It cannot be that important.
I was just gonna say you reached 30,000 subscribers.
What do you mean I reached? Wait, 30,000?
Yeah, 30,000.
Well, we should do something to celebrate.
A human sacrifice.
Probably not.
Sacrifice your sister?
You're right, they aren't human.
Alright, how about you make an avatar video? People tend to like that.
Yeah, but people also like blood sport. It's 50-50 for me.
What if I give you a cupcake? Will you make the avatar video then?
Chocolate caramel?
Chocolate caramel.
Fine, deal.
Good boy. Hey, Sup Furies. Definitely worth it. This was a good muffin. Old and new, because apparently over the last fortnight or so, thousands of you have come to join the Sub-Fury community. Welcome. The rules are be nice, be respectful, worship our supreme leader Mishka, and as always, stay nerdy. Thank you to each and every one of you for getting me this far, and here's to the next 10,000 of us. I make videos on a bunch of different fandoms, and if you enjoy my Avatar content, then you might also enjoy my Elder Scrolls lore series, where I talk about how Tamriel was created, the origins of the Dark Elves, Skyrim, and more. Click the link up in the corner of the screen to watch those. Or perhaps my Lord of the Rings videos. But the question for today is, how and when did Appa die? The notion of either Aang being left alone without his most faithful companion and losing one of the last remnants of the air nomads is just horrible, and the idea that Appa is pining after Aang when he died is just worse in so many other ways. But I'm not convinced that either of these things ever happened, and there are two possible ideas I have as to why. The first idea I have is about the nature of animal guides, which we talked about just a few weeks ago. You should watch our previous video about what it means to be an animal guide like Fang or Appa by clicking the link in the corner of the screen. But for those few of you who might not, I'll give you a quick recap. So, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that animal guides aren't just animal companions, but that they share a deeper, spiritual link with their avatar that transcends life and death. Appa and Aang's energies are described as mixed, and it allows them to be connected across long distances, like when Guru Patik used Appa's energies to locate Aang. But the part of this relationship that we're concerned with is alluded to in the episode The Avatar and the Fire Lord, where, spoilers, Roku dies. Fang, his animal guide, could have easily flown away and saved himself. Roku even told him to leave, but he didn't. Fang curled up around him and died with Roku. Part of that deep spiritual relationship between Avatar and Animal Guide is that they died together. That their lives are tethered together so strongly that they cannot bear to live without one another. If this theory is true, then that means that Aang and Appa died at the same time, together, neither of them ever having to be alone. And that would be the best ending to me, because, I don't know, after Appa's lost days, I kind of never wanted those two to be apart ever again. But there is one major issue with this theory.
You're a major issue with this planet.
Why do you do this to me?
The main reason that we can guess this relationship between Animal Guide and Avatar transcends life and death is that Fang remains with Roku in the spirit world even after he dies, which does not happen normally for animals. But even though Aang appears various times throughout Legend of Korra, we never once see Appa in spirit form with him. Does this indicate that Aang and Appa died apart from one another, or that this relationship between Avatar and Guide does not in fact go across life and death? Not quite, and let me tell you why. Aang appears roughly 3 times throughout Legend of Korra, and I say roughly because it's not entirely clear that one of these was actually Aang. Now, throughout The Last Airbender, Fang did not always appear with Roku. In the times he did, Fang was being used as either A, Roku's envoy to bring Aang to him when he could not personally be there, as we saw in the Spirit World Part 2, and the interactive canonical game Escape from the Spirit World, which quite few fans have actually played. Or B, he was being used as a means of transport in the spirit world, like we saw in the episode The Avatar State. But more often than not, Roku actually appeared without Fang. He just wasn't there, and the reason for this is probably pretty innocuous. He just didn't need to be there. In the times that Fang does appear, he's performing some kind of task as either envoy or transport. Now, let's compare this to Aang's appearances. In The Legend of Korra, Aang appeared in the flashbacks, in the takedown of Hickson. He appeared to restore Korra's bending at the end of the first season, and he appeared to Tenzin in the Fog of Lost Souls in the second season, though it's not clear in the show whether or not this is a hallucination of Tenzin's or is actually his spirit appearing to him. Obviously, Appa appeared in none of these places with Aang, but I'm not so sure that he necessarily needed to. In none of these instances were Korra and Aang traveling over a long distance, and Aang never had any trouble reaching Korra from afar. He could clearly speak to her whenever he needed to, unlike with Roku, who wanted to speak with Aang on the solstice.
That is until she screwed up the whole Avatar thing by separating from Rava.
I wish that we saw Appa in The Legend of Korra, even if just in a flashback with him in the background. But much like how Roku showed up mostly without Fang, I think the most likely answer is that there was simply no need for Appa to show up with Aang, meaning there's still plenty of room for Appa to be with Aang in the spirit world. So that is one option, that Appa, being Aang's animal guide, died as peacefully as he did at the same time, neither of them ever wanting to be apart from one another, just like Fang did with Roku. But even if Appa did not die with Aang, as I'm sure all of us would prefer, we still have a guess as to the age and exact year that Appa may have died, and thereby telling us how long either Appa would have to go without Aang, or Aang would have to go without Appa.
As sad as that is!
So I scoured the internet for a definite indication of the lifespan of a sky bison, but the creators have been entirely silent on it. But even so, we do have some indications or clues to go off. The relationship that the sky bison shared with the air nomads is well established. In the episode Appa's Lost Days, it was stated,
Choose well. A sky bison is a companion for life.
I guess this means we'll always be together.
the idea of choosing a sky bison calf at a young age is a cultural practice for the air nomads, and the phrase companion for life does imply a longevity to that relationship, that the sky bison doesn't just pass away after 20 to 30 years. This tradition was done with Aang did it with Tenzin, and it was reinforced by the creators in season 3 with Kai, that an air nomad grows up and lives their life with their sky bison. And Appa's biology backs this up and tells us more specifically how long they may live for. Sky bison share a number of features with the animals that inspired it, and it's likely they share a lifespan too. Appa is based on, guess what?
A bison.
But primarily, the creators have actually said that Appa's design came from a manatee. You know, those giant sea cows that exist for some reason. A bison only lives for about 15 to 25 years, but Oogie is clearly far older than that. The average lifespan of a manatee, however, is quite a bit longer. 60 years.
60 years, Tim, so what? Why does that matter?
Good question, you spineless lackluster tree. Aang died in the year 153 AG at age 66.
Or technically 166.
Katara rightly describes it as an untimely death. He died young. If Appa died at 60, our guess as to the average lifespan of a sky bison, then that would mean that Appa died several years before Aang did, right? Not quite. While it's implied that Appa and Aang are the same age throughout the story, we learn in the search that Aang is actually 6 years older than him. When they meet in Appa's Lost Days, Appa is a newborn calf less than a year old. Now, I am not good at maths, seriously, I suck at it, much to my parents' disappointment.
Like how I do YouTube?
But I can do this calculation, I think. If Aang dies at 66 years old, and the average lifespan of a sky bison is 60 years, and Aang is 6 years older than Appa, then that means that Appa might have died in... Even if Appa and Aang didn't die at exactly the same time like Roku and Fang did, then assuming Appa had the average lifespan of a sky bison at 60 years, they would have died within a very short time of one another. The romantic part of me feels that Appa would have passed, and then losing his eternal companion, Aang would have then too. Either way it is, I reckon that neither Aang nor Appa were left for years without one another. How cool is that? But that's all from me and my musings on Appa's possible death. My question to you, Subfuries, is how would you like to die? Let me know down in the comments below. In the meantime, I'd love for you to join other Subfuries. Follow me on Twitter, Wattpad, Facebook, email me, or send me stuff that you made at the links and address in the description below. Stay nerdy, Subfuries, and I'll see you in the future.